So the 150th chapter slash shift of Metamorphosed to Malleability was released this past Thursday. And even though it did not, go to exotic levels as I speculated it could, or at least thought it could, or anybody that followed, the story follows Michelle Jaquelidor, if you will, as she's known on DeviantArt, thought it might go. It still did something that I predicted it may do. And what it did was basically kind of, I guess, lay down the foundation for a new potential subplot to take focus or to take place. Uh, Basically, long story short, for the first time, as far as I know, Briella demonstrated the fact that not only can she separate herself into different pieces, and still maintain control and her conscience and everything, but excuse me there, but she's also able to twin herself. Now she's shown her friends like Crystal, her girlfriend, and Alisa, uh, her BFF, if you will, Alana. I think she's been able to show them that she's capable of doing that. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned this several times, where she leaves parts of herself, back at the house or with her best friend or her girlfriend, while she goes off and does something else. Like she goes to work or she goes and explores, other possibilities of her powers, things like that. So basically, what happened here in the 150th chapter, or shift, is for the first time, not only does she kind of demonstrate once again that she's able to do that, but she also demonstrates the fact that when she twins herself, that she's also able to give her twin, her clone, a personality of their own, in a sense, as well as their own name. Now, she clarifies this to her BFF, not her girlfriend, but her BFF, that it's basically like, talking to somebody on the phone, but also having a conversation with somebody in the other room. Like somebody's calling to you from the living room or from whatever, and you're on the phone with, let's say, somebody else, and thus you end up having conversations, or two conversations at once. She kind of used that metaphor, if you will, as an example of what she did here by creating this clone, which she names Miranda. And it's not just, M-A, it's M-E, it's Miranda, Meidar. And Miranda introduces herself and acts casual and everything. But this isn't the first time anybody that's followed the series, like I have, has known about Miranda. Miranda actually appeared in an earlier chapter slash shift in which Briella um, basically had to disguise herself as her assistant to kind of cover the fact that she wasn't there for I guess what was it, a landscaper or contractor that was coming in to measure her backyard to make sure everything was in place for them to expand on it, put a pool in and all that. But what happened is Miranda basically, I guess you could say, took over in a sense, became dominant temporarily. And Briella, basically being kind of frustrated, if you know what I mean, kind of having a frustrating need to be taken care of. Basically, Miranda took advantage of that, since that, and basically, like I said, became a dominant personality for the time, even to the point that she even, you know, said, "Oh, my boss Briella won't know anything. We can do what we want," because she wanted to have some fun with the contractor that was there, and fun she had. But it wasn't until after the contractor left and she reverted back that she was like, "Okay, what just happened?" So, as far as Miranda goes, this isn't the first time we've seen her in Metamorphosed Malleability. But it is the first time that Briella has separated herself and Miranda into into two separate individuals. But like I said, the way she explains it to her friends, or at least her BFF, Alana, is the fact that it's kind of like having a conversation with somebody on the phone at the same time you're having that conversation with somebody in the other room. So, it's kind of around that kind of perspective. Or like, well, basically, it's kind of like, uh, I'm sorry, I got distracted there, but it's kind of along that perspective that she's trying to give that, hey, it's like if you're talking to the phone with somebody, but you're also trying to talk to somebody in the room, or in the other room, in the house you live in, or the building you work in, stuff like that. So, overall, even though right now this version of Miranda is kind of basically Briella, but with a different different personality and her own individual personality, but basically she is Briella, and everything, because that's how she described her. It does open up a new subplot for the story going forward. Again, I'm not sure now. Now, as I said before, I'm not sure exactly what direction Michelle's going to take the story, but it does sound like she's kind of planted the seeds for some kind of arc or plot to be built into in the future. Because, like I said, this is basically being set up as a bit of a subplot right now, because even her BFF is still confused and trying to figure out, you know, how Brielle is able to do this so much, how she's able to, you know, do what she's done, where she can, keep parts of herself, at home or in separate areas, or with her or with Crystal, while another part of her, a major part of her, is probably doing something else. So it's still kind of complicated to her, still kind of confusing. But basically, when you read this story, you read this 150th chapter slash shift of Metamorphosed to Malleability, basically, basically it does, like I say, set the tables for a subplot, a story arc to be built upon for the future. Because when you read the story, it sounds like, it looks like and sounds like that basically she's concerned, if you will. That being Aaliyah and possibly Crystal is concerned that Briella's not only able to twin herself, which they've already seen, clone herself, but she's also able to give a clone their own individual personality and name. Their own independence in a sense, even though they're one and the same, Briella and Miranda. So, besides that, it was a nice little issue. Again, it's just kind of expanded on what Briella is capable of, power wise and everything, and what it did do is it set up a potential story arc to be built upon in the future, as a little subplot to be built upon in the future, and within the next couple of weeks, couple of months, and within the rest of this year, if you will, depending on if nothing gets in the way of Michelle being able to complete this. So, but yeah, 150 is a nice little issue, a nice little chapter. Nothing too extravagant. Although I would think maybe to make up for that, we might see something in the next few issues, but we'll see. But it did, like I say, in my opinion, set up a little bit of a story arc subplot to be built upon in the future. So let me know what you guys think, though, down below. Comment if you like. I'll provide the link in the description so you guys can check out the story yourself, or at least the chapter, and as well as the story series, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And that's all I'm gonna say, guys. So till next time, God bless. Take care. Sorry for a little bit of distraction. Of course, I'm trying to do this while I have the opportunity while my mom's home. She's listening to her Beatles on the Google Mini. So so yeah, I do apologize for any distractions I may be having, because she is going out the front door, and checking up on things in the front yard and stuff like that. So, but anyway, though, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on the story if you haven't read it, if you have read it or followed it. And again, the links will be provided for the whole series and for the chapter itself down below. So till next time, take care, God bless, stay safe, and I'm out.